that people will accept a lot more suffering and control by other people than I ever imagined. I was personally quite shocked at how willing people were to give over their freedoms.
Yeah, I mean, what is freedom but the ability to choose? And it's a scary thing to make a decision because there are repercussions to decisions. So it's, if you don't have a framework for what might be a good decision and what might be a bad decision, if you aren't comfortable with ambiguity, someone, stepping in and saying, hey, I'm presenting any decision, as opposed to ambiguity, it can be very attractive to just choose going forward with that decision as opposed to lurking in your own ambiguity or going through the effort that's required to create your own framework for making a better decision.
Yeah. And with that, I think social pressure is a far, far more powerful thing than I really ever realized. Like, I am willing to be extremely disagreeable. Like, it's not something I like to do, but like, I'm completely comfortable telling somebody or having a group of people be very, very angry with me. It's okay with me. But I don't think I would have walked into my local grocery store without a mask. And I don't think anybody would have hit me. I don't think, maybe they would have asked me to leave and I'd have been embarrassed. But I don't think I had the actual fortitude on that one. And so then that makes me wonder, like, if you can have somebody literally place a piece of cloth over your face in order to be outside and you're not willing to push back on that, then I have to ask myself, well, what would I push back on? And I don't actually know the answer to that.
Yeah, I don't know where that line gets drawn, right? I think there's a weird thing with this like new mob mentality that's coming up where it's almost like, I don't know, over the last X amount of time, like the return on investment towards violence has been going down and down and down and down. And this trend towards, the mob requesting X, the mob requesting Y, we want you to behave this way, we want you to behave that way. Seems like the ROI on, violence is beginning to go back up. And I don't know.
Oh, wow. That's right. A really interesting idea. So we had Mark Reardon on last week, and he was talking about, we talked about the kids jumping on cop cars. And, it could have been any city in America. And it was one of the things that we talked about, right? This is going on. And then lo and behold, it did happen in other cities in America where young people drunk in the streets, angry about whatever, saw a cop car, got on top of it. And now you have a police officer with, let's just be really conservative. Let's say he has 30 bullets in his Glock, in his service weapon.
Well, and God forbid he used them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But there's way more than 30 people there. He's one person. Like, what force could he have used there? Not that I necessarily think he should have. I'm just saying, like,
drive over, like, I don't know, whatever the scenario is, right? But playing. It's like, it's weird because that was a manifestation of like literal physical violence in one form, right? Literally jumping on a cop car, like that was ridiculous. And this has begun to happen. Like, look at the videos in Chicago, look at Miami, people like physically attacking a police officer. It's ridiculous. But that being said, it's weird because back to that idea of like the return to violence, it's like, it's social violence. It's like what ushered out the feudal era, right? Where people used to give up their land to, people to protect them from, like, knights would just roam around and frickin' take what they needed, right? Like early agrarian society, blah, blah, blah. It was gunpowder, the ability for the people to say, like, no, we're like, come over here with your horse and your sword, I'm going to blow your head off, right? So there's this weird, like this conglomerated into nation states protecting people, like society has come in waves, but now here we are, and like the violence that we're enacting to say, no, you can't just, shoot me, lawman. And I'm not comparing like the police to like the knights of old that used to like raid, areas or anything like this, but that's what they're viewed as by these groups. I don't know. It's weird. I don't have like I'm trying to like frame, like fractal down this, like make it more concrete, but it's the mob having an ability to get what they want through social violence, equivalently to how it used to be able to be gotten through physical violence.
Well, and you've created the world right now, or our country right now, has created a certain amount of social pressure against people using force to stop, violent acts like riots or people jumping on cop cars. I don't know how long that lasts, right? Like, I don't know how long, because eventually the people that are the faceless individuals or the people that are living out in the suburbs, eventually they just say like, look, I just don't want this problem anymore. So I'm going to authorize vastly more power to be used in those situations. And that, then you ratchet up the violence. I don't think that suddenly stops the problem. I think it just ratchets up the violence overall. But, what is the alternative? I don't see how. I have right now no picture for how the violence goes down naturally without some sort of direct, clear intervention of a group of people deciding that they are going to take charge of this situation.
Well, it's individual people like becoming better. Like, this is the thing. It's like, it's the bottom up solutions versus like the top down solutions, or like, on this earlier, but it's, what does this group want? This group or any group that ever, enacts violence, like sometimes it's goods and it's resources, but now we live in an abundant society where these people don't want resources. They want social change. They want like structural change. They want X or Y or Z. I don't know. It's weird. Individual people need to be better. That's like the pathway out. One person at a time needs to like make the decision. It's hard because that's like the slow change versus the fast change. You can't speed that process up. It has to happen over time.
Thanks for checking out this podcast short. If you like this interview, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and hit that bell so you always get notified about this podcast. And if you're really interested in conversations like this, you may want to consider joining the Articulate Ventures Network. To find out more, go to network.articulate.ventures.